Hi everyone, I hope you're all as excited as I am to dive into today's discussion. As you embark on the journey of entering the workforce, it's crucial to understand what employers value in potential candidates and how to stand out in a competitive job market. Understanding employers' expectations and showcasing your strengths will help you stand out and secure very exciting opportunities. By proactively learning about the industry and aligning your skills with what employers seek, you can confidently navigate the job market and make a very good and lasting impact.
Very excited to have Erin Stewart, an experienced recruiter who will help us uncover the many secrets to catching the eye of potential employers. Erin, first of all, we want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us today. Could you please share a little bit more about yourself and what makes you an expert in this topic?
Yeah, thanks so much, Nicole. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm Erin Stewart. I'm a recruitment consultant with DeLacy Executive Recruitment. I hold a bachelor's and a master's in science and the professional recruitment certification. DeLacy Executive Recruitment provides professional recruitment services to organizations in agriculture and food and beverage processing. So I see a lot of online profiles, I see a lot of resumes, and I interview a lot of candidates on our clients' behalf. So hopefully I've got some good tips that can kind of help get you to the finish line.
I'm sure you will. Well, to start off, could you please share the qualities that employers typically look for in a candidate?
For sure. It varies based on, the employer and the position, but there are some that, show up again and again. And really what the employers are looking for are things like how capable are you? Can the company afford your salary? Do you have all the skills and experience that they're looking for? How do you show up or present yourself? Will you represent our organization well? So with that, they are looking for someone who will be able to join their organization and get up to speed quickly on the roles and the responsibilities. Someone who will ask questions or seek out help when they don't know the answers or how to accomplish something. And someone who their clients and their internal people will enjoy interacting with. Those are kind of the consistent qualities that we tend to see our clients asking for.
Okay, and then how do you think that educational backgrounds and certificates influence your hiring decision as well?
Sure. This also, I think, varies with employer and position. Some roles require pretty specific certifications and others don't. So as a recruiter, my advice would be to pay attention to, what's required for the role that you're applying for and be sure to highlight that you have them. And if you don't, do you have other relevant experience? That could be considered. And if you do, make sure you highlight that in a summary or a cover letter, or make sure you talk about it in the interview.
And for all the audience that is still in school, so how can they start early, so in college or in high school, to start setting themselves apart from other candidates?
Great question. That's such an exciting time in your life, and I know it can also, be kind of scary making decisions and looking ahead. And so high five to all of you and pat on the back for all of you that are in that situation. My advice as a recruiter and also as someone that was there at some point and now is a couple of decades into her career, my advice would be to spend some time really thinking about, where you see yourself, and think about industry, think about the type of role you see yourself in, and what really fills your bucket. These things will, of course, evolve over time, but I think that's a really good place to start. Seek out a mentor or a couple of mentors if you can, and spend some time shadowing people in these positions that you think interest you so that you can really experience the day-to-day and ask them about their personal experiences. Say yes to the opportunities that will help you grow and learn. Take on new or additional responsibilities in your current roles, whether they're paid or volunteer, and do them well. The occasional stretch assignment to kind of get you out of your comfort zone can serve you really well down the road.
Well, that was some great advice. And now, based on your experience, what are some common mistakes that you see candidates make during an interview, which could essentially cost them the job?
Yes, unfortunately, it does happen. And there's three that kind of stand out in my mind. The first is inadequate preparation. An interview should be and can be very much a two-way conversation, not just the interviewer asking you all the questions and putting you in the hot seat, so to speak. So it's really important to do your research on the organization, the hiring manager, if possible, so that you have some meaningful questions to ask them when you get the opportunity. And so you get what you need out of the interview as well. Is this a place you want to work? Is the hiring manager somebody you want to work for? The answer may be no, and that's okay. But the interview is an opportunity to kind of assess all of that. The second mistake that I see people make is speaking negatively about a previous employer or a previous hiring manager. Negative things happen. People get let go. There's conflict, and I would say that's all normal. But my advice would be to spend some time planning and maybe even dry run with a friend how you want to say this so that it comes across in a professional way that won't reflect poorly on you. So that's the second. And then the third is improper, mostly too casual dress. And it happens whether it's a virtual interview or in person. Sometimes people show up a little bit too casual, and what you wear isn't everything, but people notice. So if you're ever unsure what to wear, based on kind of what the normal attire is at that company, just ask your recruiter or ask the HR person that you've been talking to. It's not a silly question. It just shows that you care. So don't be afraid to ask. So Those are the top three.
Thank you so much. And moving on, what signs would you indicate that a candidate has a very strong work ethic?
Sure. Sometimes it's hard to tell as a third party recruiter because we do see, just kind of a snapshot of the person. But I tend to extrapolate based on how they communicate with me. Are they quick to follow up on their commitments, like sending a resume? Do they take a week to respond to my questions? Do they have good examples of their work and how they work? Because it isn't enough, to tell someone that you're a hard worker, that you have a solid work ethic. You need to be able to provide relevant examples. And if they can, that's usually a really good sign.
And one of my last questions is, what are some red flags that might cause you to reconsider a candidate?
Sure. Kind of going back to, how they communicate with me, inconsistencies and unprofessionalism in how they communicate with me. That's a big one. If they seem distracted, it's just kind of plants some seeds of doubt and puts up a bit of a red flag. Someone that makes a habit of leaving positions when challenges occur, they kind of hop from one thing to the next, and challenges happen in every workplace, and if someone's always running from that, that's usually a red flag versus, working with their team or their hiring manager to, overcome that. And then the third is going back to speaking poorly of their current employer.
And finally, do you have any final tips or recommendations for candidates looking to make a strong impression and increase their chances of getting hired?
Sure. The first place most recruiters, whether they're internal or third party like me, look for people or at people that have expressed interest is online. And LinkedIn is a pretty common go-to. There are lots of others, but LinkedIn it's pretty common. We certainly see a lot more online profiles than resumes, and a lot more online profiles and resumes than we do candidates. That's kind of, the initial pass, if you will. So your LinkedIn profile will be the primary conversation driver and your chance to make a first impression a lot of the time if somebody's looking for you. So if it doesn't contain the right content, being, verbiage, or enough content, you're less likely to be found and certainly more likely to be passed over. So my advice there would be to spend some time on your LinkedIn or other online profiles. Make sure that your past roles are listed, in reverse chronological order with accurate dates, responsibilities, accomplishments, metrics, whether they're numbers, dollar values, or percentages. Certainly add a lot of value when it comes to telling a story. Make sure you've got a good picture of yourself and a brief summary of who you are and what you're looking for, because that's, where a lot of people are potentially going to be looking at you.
We want to thank Erin for sharing her valuable insights and expertise with us today. I believe all of our listeners will find this interview extremely beneficial as they navigate their career paths. Let's take all of these insights and turn them into action. Prepare to impress and stand out in the very competitive job market. Good luck, everyone!